Hello, everyone. It's a kind of chill day.
Oh, there we go. Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
How we doing today? I am running on little sleep. I woke up at 4:45 this morning for a 6:45 shift.
4:45.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm a notoriously slow riser, but
Mm-hmm.
so
Do you
yeah, I
drink
think you're.
coffee, Marco?
Do I drink coffee? No, not very often. Um,
No.
during like the that overcast couple weeks we had like during the holidays, and I had these like later shifts, I would do like a coffee, like maybe three, but I wasn't doing it very often. I try not to
Got it.
make it a habit. Yeah. How
Mm-hmm.
about you?
I thoroughly and I've just gotten the coffee train this last year, and boy, how come nobody told me?
I think what's really tough with coffee to me is that I don't like when I was little I loved chemistry. I like the concept of like mixing things, and when I just get coffee, I'm like I don't want to think about it that much, and like
hmm
and it's so much
You would have
so that
loved when I first started to order, Marco, because I would just say, just give me something strong and sweet. But I had no idea, dude.
so I think one of the first like Starbucks drinks that I ordered regularly was the Java chip, which is effectively just like a mocha milkshake more than anything. And do you remember
Sounds
when they
great.
came out with the Trenta, the the size that can have a whole
Oh
bottle
yeah,
of wine?
yeah.
So I think the craziest order that I've ever
hmm
done is my
hmm
friend and I, we were driving to Vegas for a concert, and we decided we weren't going to make any stops on that drive out there. And we go, well, we have to get a drink to power us through. What are we going to get? I walked into a Starbucks and I go, I'd like a Trenta Java chip, please. And I'm like, is that possible? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, great, I'll have two. And we have these giant, I have a picture of it. It's just this ridiculous, like 16-inch tall cup.
Huge,
Yeah.
dude. Like if
Um,
Taco Bell made milkshakes.
oh man, oh geez. But then the other thing that was funny with coffee with me is that I liked cold brew, but I never realized that when you bought it in a bottle, that it usually was like had a little bit of cream or had a little bit of sugar mixed into it. And I
hmm
went to order it once, and I was like, I ordered it a couple different times, and then this like time I ordered it, they goes, "Do you want to leave room for cream?" And I'm like, "That's an option." And then
Hey
I
man,
was
you're
like,
kind of breaking up, Marco.
"Oh, the
You're breaking
audio."
up a good deal.
Doot, 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 doot.
Yeah, are you on Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I don't know if my
Yeah,
Wi-Fi is
okay.
getting a
Just
little
making
wacky.
sure.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry.
Um, at least we have this. We'll have the podcast audio in, but maybe the video audio will be a little wacky. Um, yeah, I'm on Frontier, so I don't know. That might be something to do with it because Frontier is not the best when it comes to.
I don't know. I have no idea. It could be me for all I know. My side looks perfect, but I bet you your side probably looks perfect too. So figure that out, cyber
Yeah,
world.
yeah. How's your week going? How are you feeling in general?
Dude, I'm having a week. Um, any prayers would be wonderful. We have
Hmm.
a family member in the hospital at the moment, going through it, fighting for their life. No need to get too deep into it here.
Hmm.
Um, but just, any well wishes and positive thoughts we
Good
definitely
vibes.
accept right now.
Hmm.
Besides that, life's moving. I got a high profile event coming up here. I'll be working. I don't know how much I can say. I haven't signed an NDA this time, but that's not to say I probably won't sign one soon. So I'll be working for somebody pretty cool.
Someone we
Coming
know,
down here for the next
like
month.
someone we'll know the name of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if this community would know him too well, but the person is very well established. They're very well established in the world.
Good.
That's coming up, and then after that, I start selling insurance, which is also rad. Come on, guys, give it up.
Nice, nice.
Anyways, but yeah, life's good, dude. I
Good.
finished getting that license for insurance and everything. I got, work coming up here with Mr. Such and Such. I don't want to say his name
Hmm.
or their name. Oops. And then yeah, right. I'm bad at dude. I'm not good at keeping secrets. They can't lie.
They live at this
Um,
address. Here's their number. Their
yeah.
the
Anyways, the
the street
Social
where they grew
Security.
up on.
So yeah, life's pretty good.
Good.
Besides that, watching this movie was a very enjoyable time for me too. So I'm excited to get to that. How about you, man? How you
Nice.
been?
I'm chilling. I would say that this week was a little more like low energy. I don't know if it
Hmm.
was because of the weather. I don't know if it was just the general vibe. My work injury is flaring up again, and there's a whole
Uh-oh.
thing with that going on. But we
Oy.
with the what's up?
Hmm.
And with the truck, we did a little check in with it, and there's a picture we posted where the center console was effectively taken apart. And what's so funny is the
Hmm.
person that owned it before, they like chopped it. I don't know what they did. It was weird. Like they chopped out the main like support bar that's meant to hold the coin tray to fit something in there that isn't there now, probably the radio. And then because of that, the
Hmm.
coin tray that is in there doesn't really come out easily. And that's also because the coin tray that's in there isn't the original coin tray that came with the truck. So now I'm like, I'm just taking the coin tray out because I don't smoke. I don't need it. I don't really need change. I usually just like throw it off to the side and then I'll pick it up later. Um, but on the bright side, the cigarette lighter, or as it's also known,
The
the
charger.
the auxiliary power outlet. I was like looking, what's the
Hmm.
official name of the cigarette lighter? Now has power running to it, so we can now
That's wonderful.
power things off of it. We can charge stuff, and if we needed to, we could trickle charge, which is something that I'm looking into. But just to keep the battery kind of running, when we don't
Hmm.
charge it for a long time. There's some other stuff kind of going on there as well, um, but that's the big W this week for truck
Cool.
progress. Yeah.
Love that. Always love that.
Speaking of
Um,
road trips and car,
yeah, dude, real talk. Let's get into the movie. I'm really excited to be honest.
yeah.
Um, this week we're covering Onward.
Hmm.
I'll go first on expectations. I didn't have very high expectations for this movie going into it. We cut last week and we kind of talked about how personally we had a little conversation aside about this movie, and you seemed very much more excited than I did in that conversation, talking about how it was the last movie you'd seen before COVID really hit, and I had
Yeah,
known that I had watched it at home and was very underwhelmed at the time. But I think a lot of that had to do just with the aforementioned COVID. I was pretty, we were all pretty, yeah, exactly, just kind of
yeah. It just
up in
kind of
arms, you
there.
know. And I just remember
Yeah.
watching it back then, and I was not, I don't want to say dissatisfied.
Hmm.
I kind of do. I kind of want to say dissatisfied. But I didn't really give it time of day. I was bored watching it the first time, and that
Yeah.
was whenever it came out.
I would have to agree with you there because like when I saw it in theaters, um, so that came out. I mean, like literally, it was like a week or two, 3 weeks
Hmm.
maybe before
Hmm.
everything happened. Well, no, I don't remember actually the timeline. The time is a construct, and time is folding in on itself. Um, we'll get into that in our next show. But when I saw it, yeah, I felt the same thing. I felt like there was I very much felt like it was the Clerks 2 explanation of Lord of the Rings. I'm like, what did they do? They just walked. They did a lot of
Hmm.
walking, and like it still got the gut punches occurred, and the scenes that were supposed to landed pretty well. But I would have to agree with your sentiment that like yeah the specter of COVID and the unknown I think definitely kind of bogged down that feeling. I was in a full theater
Hmm.
and had a kid next to me who was sneezing and all this kind of stuff the whole time. And as kids do, I'm not going to sit there and be like, I went to this animated children's movie and then there was a kid there. How dare you? No,
Yeah,
but
no, I hear you. But it was
yeah,
everything just kind of during that. Like, if you live your life on like perpetual three, like you go through the world and like somebody cuts you off and it brings you up like a five on the rage meter, you know. COVID puts you at
mm,
like that five when you walked out, which means when they cut you off on the freeway, you're pushed up
yeah,
to a seven, and you're probably not used
yeah,
to being at a seven right there. And so
yeah.
little things like triggers like a kid sneezing or coughing over and over in a movie theater, I could see that at that time, it's just everything bugged. So I didn't have high expectations this time,
Hmm.
and I will say that I'll preface this, dude. This movie is a home run. I was pumped by the time I
Yeah.
finished this movie. I texted my uncle after that and was like, "You got to watch this. You and your
Hmm.
granddaughter. This is a movie you need to show her." Like I just felt there was a connection. I had a connection with my family to it. If you
Hmm.
look in our notes here, I'm over here going like, Marco, I know you feel something on this. How did you feel? And so the whole way through, man, like it's I don't know, man. And then also, I think I have a much more of an appreciation right now of Tom Holland and Chris Pratt than I did at the time.
Yes.
Not to say I didn't
Yes.
appreciate them at all, but like hearing like Tom Holland give his best voice performance in this, I was surprised. Like you got Joan Cusack, who is like the queen of this business when it comes to that,
Hmm.
and he did a great job.
Yeah. I put in the notes that this movie came out before I reached what I would call like Tom Holland, Chris Pratt overload. And, like,
Hmm.
this is probably like the start of that wave. And looking back, I'm thinking, okay, they disappear into the roles, and I know that there was a lot of discussion about wouldn't Jack Black have been a better, Barley, and I was like, yeah, and at the time I remember I was like, yeah, maybe. And then I look back now and I'm like, I think Chris Pratt played it very well. I think it was perfectly cast. I don't think there was much
I do
room for
too. Like
improvement.
as much as you could have cast Jack Black as that role, but Jack Black is much more of a father than a brother at this point
Yeah,
in his life.
yeah.
You know what I
Jack
mean?
Black could have
Like
been
at
like a
least on
funny,
screen.
yeah, he could have been a funny like Bronco maybe.
I think it'd be funny
Hey,
Bronco, or even like if they did some sort of weird cameo of like showing their father when they were young, he could have been their dad.
just like,
That would have been perfect. Jack
mhm,
Black as the father of those two would have been absolutely perfect.
yeah. Um,
So,
just
I felt like in the first like 5 minutes of this movie, we're
mhm.
already we're in it, and we're flexing already. We're starts building a brand new universe. It's when was la- was when was the last time we hadn't seen a sequel movie from Pixar? Was it The Good Dinosaur, or was it
Ooh, let me see.
you know what I'm saying?
Probably around then. I would say, yeah, yeah,
Here,
because
watch. I'll get it real quick. Boop boop bop beep.
we're
It's
getting
gonna
better at this,
be
folks. Stay with us. Yeah, it'll
Coco.
be. Oh,
It's
okay,
Coco.
yeah,
Coco's the last one before that. Then it's Good Dinosaur.
yeah.
And Coco, we talked about the masterful work they did there in creating a universe
Hmm.
and showing us the rules of their universe, etc. Same thing. They give us a minute and a half exposition of what the world once was, leading into what the world is.
Hmm.
And it's first of all, it's animated gorgeously. There's all kinds of sweet notes that like we'll get into later, where Pixar's really showing us what they've learned over the past 2 decades. And I don't know, man. It's doing what it always does best. You got on here about talk about the stray unicorns. All the one-offs are
Yes.
there for us.
Hmm. Um, it just the way that everything kind of worked backwards. I thought that was very funny. Where it's like, yeah, magic was complicated, so they made it. They made their own, and I just like the guy just flicking the switch. I call it, electricity. Just
Oh,
like,
easy.
oh,
It's
that's
so
cool.
easy.
Yeah. And I think I was kind of worried when I saw that initially because I thought there was going to be some kind of like heavy-handed thing where like people today are lazy because of technology, something like that. And it really wasn't. It was just
Hmm.
kind of like the world was more innocent and magical, and you kind of have to find your little like spark kind of thing again. Don't get too caught up
Yep.
in like the 9 to 5 and stuff, and just be yourself kind of thing, which
Yeah.
is a good message. Like it's simple and it's relatable to have that kind of message with it.
I think it also does kind of speak to just like, not there's so much in like your culture that so much of us don't exercise or
Hmm.
even aware of. There's a
Yeah.
blissful ignorance, if you will. And that's kind of a common thread in this as well. It's this like living in a dreamland where this is the only thing that matters when it's really a culmination of everything. And I say that to say like, like there's so many I don't Marco, how many kimonos do you own? You know what I mean? Like when was the
Yeah.
last time you made pasta? But I
Yeah.
bet you if you sat down and you made some pasta, you know what I mean? Like I bet you if your dad came over and was like, I'm gonna show you the family recipe right now,
Yeah.
you'd be enthralled. It would you talk about core memories, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And what this movie shows us is like there's this whole wealth, this bank of core memories that are there for us if we want to take the time to go back and do things the way that we used to do things, in
Yeah.
whatever capacity that is.
Yeah. There's always a part of me that really wants to do like learning kind of stuff and just like different trades. and like a little more like artistic trades and that kind of stuff. Like my grandfather was an artist and like carpenter and did all this crazy stuff. And I wish I had the space to do that. And I think about like when I was in a three-car garage, it had like a bench, and I never really like worked on anything because I wasn't old enough to really. I would like watch and I'd be like, oh, okay, you know. Yeah, it just.
Well, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah. It gets you thinking back to, I don't know if, let me check. I think about when I watched this movie, there was an interesting conversation starter that people would talk about when they talk about this movie. And they would say, they go like, well, if you had the option, if you had that Phoenix gem and you could bring someone back, who would you bring back? Whether it's someone you knew or you didn't know and stuff like that. And I that's a question that like maybe we can answer later in this podcast, in this episode, but food for thought.
Who would you bring back?
When I was asked, I immediately said, my grandfather, who I never met, gave my grandmother a piggyback ride, who's holding a basket full of all my pet rabbits that I.
You're supposed to know him.
Yeah.
That feels like he would be stuck. You're supposed to know him. I can't imagine. I mean, I get the idea of you wanting to bring back somebody like for the betterment of humanity when people say like somebody you've met and somebody you haven't met, but
yeah.
I don't know, man.
Those kind of icebreaker questions when they do like, who would you have like dinner? Because it's like, people are always like, oh, I'd meet Walt Disney. And I'm like, I don't know, Ben Franklin. But like, you'd spend half the time, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, there's nothing you can do in one day. Like a fun story to tell. It wouldn't accomplish too much, but it would be fun. But one day would be interesting. I think a lot of the world building that you were talking about and like the time limits and the rules of the world, I think were very well done to like peak drama. They served the story. That's why they're there. But yeah, even just down to like, there were a lot of gags too. Stray unicorns, the businesses, the business names, the product names. I thought that was really fun. The Burger Shire now serving second breakfast. You saw.
There was a yeah, dude. Now serving second breakfast. That was good.
But second breakfast. But yeah, just there's a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, this just goes more into the worlds that Pixar builds. They do a great job of that. They set up the rules. They make things for children to look at. There's cool things for the adults to kind of to draw from. All the way going back to like Toy Story, the first one, legs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's just there's little things that are just left there for you to just kind of pick up and do with as you will, and you don't gotta see them. But and I appreciate all that, and they spend a great time just layering that kind of stuff. There's Easter eggs in this movie for miles. Speaking of Easter eggs, we got Pizza Realm, Pizza Planet, Pizza Realm. We get this really sweet and what's cool is we see like all kinds of different creatures and stuff eating it. So like everybody digs Pizza Realm, which is true.
I feel like if there was a food item, a food stuff that could unite different mythical species,
realms, if you will.
I think it would be the good old slice of pizza. And
that's right.
It's cool. That's on the freeway and a toll booth. We have taken the truck through a toll booth, specifically at San Francisco Bay Area. That's fun.
Yeah, we've literally been in that position before.
Yeah. And then I think I did a toll booth in New Jersey.
I know that we're gonna get to you and driving.
Mate,
I know you.
Some, we've got some. I think we've got some fun stories with that, and then just the truck in general in that area. But
another
the emotional
cool Easter egg we saw real quick. You see when you go to the Manticore's Tavern, there's one of the shields that's gonna have the Luxo ball on it. It's pretty sweet if you check that in the background. I'm sure there's a couple other Easter eggs in there as well. Ratzenberger doesn't make he does make a small appearance in the beginning, but he doesn't really make a decent appearance until the very end. He's the construction worker trying to get barley off of the hill at the fountain. And then any other big ones?
I can't think of any. I track of the Easter eggs at this point because I'm like, oh yeah, it's the next movie, and then it's the this and the that, and there's probably a let me check. There's probably a Soul Easter egg for sure in here. But yeah,
There's got to be a Soul Easter egg, and they always do one from the next movie.
yeah,
Did COVID mess
it's
that up too?
no. Well, my internet's running a little funny.
So we kind of covered the next topic on here. You can get it when you tell me. We'll know in a moment. But the next topic I want to talk about is just about. Go ahead.
I think there is
You're cutting out though.
Oh, okay. I think there's a Easter egg of the. I think it's one of the records. One of the records from Soul is in Ian's room.
Oh, got it. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to kind of cover just one of the overarching themes of this whole movie. It's going to be loss and dealing with loss. And I think in the very beginning, one of the cool things we get, one of the entrances to that loss is he's at the Burger Shire and the guy sees him with his father's sweater on. And what's a wonderful tool to use, like with people that are hurting, is talking about those times you shared with the loved ones that are lost. And he goes into it so just like naturally, this gentleman. Oh, you say he wore purple socks all the time. And he doesn't lie, he's genuine. Oh, we made fun of him every time. He's a goofball, and it's like that kind of honesty, it offers such a comfort that you can't find like anywhere else. Because I know, like, personally with like the grandmothers I've lost, the friends and family, when you hear a new story about them, it's like you get to spend another moment with them for a second, and it's I don't know. Is there anybody that you've like you said, your grandfather?
Yeah,
good segue into that. You talked about that picture with him with all of the bunnies and stuff. Do you hear stories about him where like you feel like, oh, whatever he is, that's me too?
I mean, I think it's more just like within similar orbits along like the creativity and just like making, or at least I think to make stuff with him, it was he actually did make things. We have a cabinet, we have like furniture that's still, and stuff like that. So there was a lot of stuff that he did like that. He'd build like the back half of the house. So there's that kind of stuff. But there aren't too many like stories. I think we have like a couple of clips, audio. I don't think, unfortunately.
Talk over you.
That aren't here anymore. We have like little.
You, sir, are cutting out a good deal.
Let me check something real quick. I'm not sure what's going on. I checked our I think our internet seems to be okay, but I will pull.
You look better right now, but then
yeah.
Anyways, I have a bit of a story like that too with my grandmother. So if you know me well enough, you know that a while ago I went on a walkabout and I kind of took off, sold all my stuff, and went traveling across the states. I sold my car, sold everything, and kind of started walking around and having a good time. Forrest Gump style. It's pretty cool. And I did that kind of. I guess I had like two of my cousins who had done similar things before me as well, so I had that bit of a roadmap. But also, like, there was no real reason, nobody told me to do that. There wasn't. I just felt the need to just get out and go, And in talking to my Nana a year or so after that, maybe I think when I was out, actually, I was talking to her one day. And what's cool is when you do stuff like that, when you find yourself at that time, you utilize it and you start to make plans and goals, and you just find yourself in a very, very pleasant area. Well, I'm talking to my Nana, and she tells me how her brother who I'd never heard of to this time. He was a train hopper, and some people would call him a hobo. You know, he was somebody who would come back to town every so often, just think kind of like a basically vagrant. He would just train hop from place to place and play the horse races. That's all he did, and that was his life for the last 30 years of his life. But she said he was the happiest he'd ever been hopping trains.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like it made me have this moment. I was like, man, some of the happiest times I've ever had. Like I wasn't paying rent, you know, but there wasn't
Bouncing
no bills
around.
to be paid. Yeah, no, man, there was no. I didn't know where I was gonna sleep at the next day. I didn't know where the fun was gonna come from. All I knew was that I had people who loved me, and I had a heart that wanted to keep on pushing. So that's all you do. And when you simplify it like that, it makes peace that much easier to attain. And I got a little off track there, and it's not really pertaining to the movie, but those little pieces of other people that came before you that people can sprinkle into your life, those memories, they shape you. And sometimes they shaped you before you even knew it was a memory. You know, that person doing that before you did it that's why you're here. It's cool. Yeah. We see that with their father. You know, you got Barley over here. It's Barley, right? Am I saying that right? Oh yeah, Barley. He's over here, super Dungeons and Dragons out, right? He's really into it. And then you got Ian, who's not, you know, and it doesn't really make much sense, like how different they are. And until you kind of get more of a semblance, when you first get introduced to the fact that he has a wizard staff or something like that, it goes, oh, no wonder Barley's so connected to this dungeon world of fantasy and everything. And then you see that, well, he's also an accountant. Oh, well, no wonder Ian is Ian. He's somebody who wants to make sure he's hedging his bets and just, you know, like he's making sure that he's not compromising his risks and whatnot. And it all just, and he doesn't even understand that that's why he is the way he is, because he never met his father until it all just kind of comes out throughout the movie and unravels. It's beautiful. Yeah. Let's go into the driving, Marco. Let's talk about it.
Do you see? I was late.
And that
to
fumble
learning to
right
drive.
there, everybody. That fumble of words. That's what it's like when Marco wants to get onto the freeway.
I mean, when I first learned to drive, I was driving like a 4Runner. I was driving this like very large and sluggish vehicle that I didn't drive on the freeway for like a fairly, like probably at least a year after I learned to drive. Like I would take, there's this little off ramp where the freeway terminates near me, near us, and that was my little commute to work. I'd hop on, get it up to speed, and then just kind of coast, and then take the off ramp, and that was like my main thing of on the freeway. And when we started the truck project, I did not know how to drive stick shift, and a lot of people taught me, between Tyler, Patton, Will, Jake, you knew stick, yeah, and because there was only like I think it was like half. It was like half and half of the team knew how to drive stick shift. The other half didn't, and was apprehensive about driving it on the freeway, just because I was just nervous. And I remember we were on the trip, kind of like kicking rocks about it. And I remember he was like, "You just have to do it, man. You're going." And I'm like, "Okay." It was like the second or third day, and I wasn't too sure about it. He's like, "No, you got to do this. I've been driving a lot." I'm like, "Okay." So I did, and I think about when we were in Santa Cruz. That's what I always think about, is the funniest thing, where we were trying to film it in a way where like we had a lead car, or the truck was in front, and we had the secondary vehicle behind, capturing footage of the truck from behind. And then there was one time where we like kind of got a little lost, and so like Tyler and I were like, "Okay, we'll pull off," and we're like, "Okay, but we need to remain in front of the chase vehicle." So we're keeping an eye, and then Tyler goes, "Oh, there it is." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I thought that we had a little ramp, a little little ramp to get off out of the parking lot, and instead I just drove the truck
Oh
off of the
yeah,
curb,
up curb.
just off a curb, and I think somewhere I still have that clip, and you just hear everyone in the car go, "Oh God!" The whole car just kind of just rocks off the curb and just keeps driving. I always think
Marco, you
about,
were so serious after that though. Like we were ready to laugh, and like the fear of God in your eyes. I assume.
yeah,
You
I like, yeah, I
oh,
that
good
truck
time.
has been through so much, and it's still running. It's a Timex. It takes
Hmm.
a licking and keeps on ticking. I still think about though the craziness of the GoPro fly off. I think about that on the road trip because I just remember because you were in the car, right? Or was it?
What
Were
was
you in
that?
the truck? Were you in the truck with me when the GoPro flew off of the other car?
Yeah, we had to get it, and it was fine.
I
But remember,
just
I picked it up, and I was like, I want to see
yeah.
this footage. I really do.
I just remember when it went by, it wasn't like tumbling. It was just like slow motion spinning while skidding. It was doing this like real
Yeah.
slow. And I just remember the thought in our mind was like, if we had opened the door, we probably could have grabbed it. like we could have just
Yeah, dude.
Goku'd
Also,
it.
like, it's just scary. We're on the freeway, right? It was Emeryville.
Yeah, yeah. And we thought it
Yeah.
was in the middle of the freeway, but thankfully, just the way that it went, it just skidded naturally. I think just like it was on a bend. And so
To
it
be
with
fair, it wouldn't have been my first time walking on a freeway, which is bad to admit. So I was ready.
I'm just surprised
Uh,
no one hit it. Nothing happened. It was just the front
dude,
of the
I wouldn't have.
case.
I don't think it would have mattered. Like the way
Yeah,
those things are built, man. They're
yeah.
built like Duplos, dude. Like they are not getting messed up. Those things are. They're chilling. So we get further onto the movie. Back to it a little bit. One thing I want to talk about. He's got a list called New Me. I do that to myself, dude. Every 6 months, I feel like I've got a new list of like, these are my goals. These are my affirmations. These are the things I'm going to try to do. These are the
Mhm.
things that my non-negotiables. This will be done. This is an outlandish goal, but it's on my list. Whatever it
Mhm.
might be. I don't got to go into what my things are, but uh, what I just thought was like, I, I, I guess I forgot what a tool to use because I use it so much. But what would you utilize in a new you? Like Ian's got speak up more, learn to drive, invite to party, and be more like dad. Who, once again, is a person he's never met.
Yeah. I think about like well, once again, we go back to when the pandemic started, I had a planner that I wrote down some things in, and they were like really simple goals where I put like new job and like go to school. And I did those. I did those during that year time, and then I think I added stuff after where I put new job question mark more school question mark because I wasn't sure what to do next. I mean, if I were to sit there and like make a list of like self improvement things for me, I would probably put like I'm working on like living in the moment more. I would say
Okay.
trying not to get caught
When
up
you
in
say
what.
that, do you mean like exciting? Let me rephrase that. Like being able to enjoy moments
Yeah,
more as they are?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think so because I think
Does
there's a
that
lot.
strictly move to enjoy, or is it also the other? Because you know what I mean. Like joy is only one part of that spectrum of emotion. You know what I mean? Is it the rest of
Yeah,
them too? Do you want to feel sad when you're supposed to feel sad, and mad when you're supposed to feel mad too, or is it simply you wish that you could feel joy more?
um, when you put it like that. Um, I think it's more just along the lines of like sometimes you get like kind of like wrapped up in like a daydream or something and just
Hmm.
being like, oh wait, what am I doing? Like I need to, you get worked up over something and you go, okay, well maybe I just need to think about like where am I? What am I doing? Oh, the breeze is wonderful, the sky is sunny. I'm standing on my 2 feet and I'm breathing under my own power. That's great.
Hmm.
Um, I think being able to enjoy it too. There's a lot of stuff that like I look back in photos and things, and I'm like, oh, I could have like I just working myself up. I think just getting stressed for no reason would probably be the best way. So it's not
I
about
think
like,
it's hard. There's a lot of things that like, they have gravity, a lot of
mhm,
events, and a lot of things you're either working towards or for you, or whatever it might be. And they pull you away from the moments that you're talking about. And they don't allow
yeah,
you to feel whatever emotion, this is my thought at least, they don't allow you to feel
mhm,
whatever emotion it is that you could be going through, whatever it might be.
mhm,
There's so many times where like I could think in my life where I wanted to be sad, I didn't have time. There just isn't time to be sad
yeah,
right now. We could figure that out later, but right now we got to work on this. And part of living in the moment is also being like, you know what? No, we're making time for a second. I got to
yeah,
feel this. you know. And the same thing goes for anger. Think about how many times you've been so pissed at somebody that didn't deserve it because of the 50 other things you didn't expel the anger over. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And that's also part of living in the moment, of being able to go, dude, F this, man.
Yeah.
No. F this. Like,
there's
a healthy dose.
There's this really funny like exercise that somebody suggested, and I took it to the like wrong degree. I always think about, they always talk about like, is this thing that is frustrating you? Is this thing that is stressing you out? Is this going to matter in a year? Is this going to matter in 3 years? Is this going to matter in 5 years? And then I finally reached this point with some things where I go, well, none of this is going to matter in 5 years. and you know, I'm like, that's taking it a little too far. But I think too, though, there's stuff like that where it's people like, I've mostly had that situation arise like in a workplace situation, and my response when given that prompt was, I go, well, there's a lot of things that are going 5 years if we don't take care of them now. So saying like, oh, this little thing isn't going to matter in 5 years. Well, yeah, if you keep like dismissing it like that, it will. So I'm a little bit of doom and gloom, but then
well, that's why there's balance in all things, though, Marco.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's where that comes from. It's like to be anxious and be worried is to be prepared.
Right.
To go without worry and without anxiety is to be ignorant. You know, there's a place in between, you know, and that goes for so many different dichotomies. There's a place in between where you're supposed to be at. And I shouldn't say supposed, where the most peaceful place is to be at. The eye of the storm in all things, if you will.
Like, you're aware of everything around you and you know what's coming, you know what's happened. And then you just have to kind of sit there and go, okay, well, that's not going to, you know, that's past and this is ahead.
Some people get bent out of shape when they hear about the fact they got to do homework. And some people know they got to do homework every night.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
A homework person.
Neither was I.
Yeah.
That's not to say where I land on the spectrum. It's more to say, like, you know, that's that balance, you know what I mean? And some people get excited for homework. The person getting excited for homework, you're brainwashed. Sorry, kids. The person that doesn't, that's like, hey, this is the way it is. That's peace.
Yeah.
That's that place in the middle for that specific thing, you know? The kid that's throwing their backpack at home and yelling at everybody about how they're not going to do homework, that's the wrong side. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, we go into this next part. He talks to his father on the tape, and like, I have all kinds of sentiments towards my dad. I got this whole thing where I didn't feel like my dad was there enough for me as a child, and it's a trick because it's a pattern in the sense that my father's father died when he was very young. He was 11 years old when his father died, and watching this, it wasn't just really feeling like I had found my connection to the movie. It was more like I found my family's connection. Because I've learned my father's there for me, you know, and I have a father, and I have core memories with him, and it's wonderful, you know, and it took time to realize all those things. But what I realized is that my dad, like, the relationship he has with his brother is very similar to what I'm seeing in this movie. Because when he died, my grandfather died, my dad effectively becomes man of the house, and the younger siblings look to him, and it's a similar situation where, you know, who do you think's teaching these kids how to ride bikes? Who do you think's teaching them how to shave? And it's just, I start watching it, and it broke my heart watching him talk to his father, only because I know what it's like to want to talk to somebody who's no longer with you. Yeah. On the physical plane, if you will, you know? And your heart reaches out to them with all it can just to hear a whisper in return, you know, to feel a hand on your shoulder, whatever it could be. You just want that connection. And to watch him have it for that moment and then have it taken away the next, it was heart-wrenching for me, at least. So, you know,
and it's just interesting how this is all like juxtaposed with all like the goofiness that is high school. like to balance all of that, and that was interesting because I mean, like,
that's things I missed the first time, Marco. Like, these little things in here, like, to watch that conversation, I don't remember that at all. I don't, like, the first time, I have no recollection of him having that conversation, and I don't think I'll forget about that scene for a while now.
It's a surprisingly potent getting to know Ian moment, and it happens really quickly in the film. It happens very quick.
Do you see now? And it's not the same director or anything, but there's a bit of a mirror thing happening. I can't think of the word I want to use between Coco in this when he's talking to Ernesto de la Cruz in his attic.
Oh yeah, like kind of a little quiet moment.
Yeah, there's a bit of a spiritual, bridge between the two of those. I feel like. Personally, though, even after watching all that, I'm still Barley is the person I feel connected to the most. That's who I think like I have the most. I mean, I can't imagine with you and your sister, but I would imagine even as much as in you have in common throughout the movie, in your household, from where I'm sitting, you're Barley too. You know, we're over here.
Bit of both.
We're the village that raises the family. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think just trying to like, I think I would say like, if I were to do like self-analysis, it's like I guess I'm more like Ian, where it's just like I'm still learning things, still kind of getting used to, just kind of coming out of the shell and stuff. I don't know. It's.
I mean that is the biggest compliment, though, Marco. When I say you're Barley, because you're leading things over there. I see you. As much as you're one of the more humble people I know, but you're a leader. So
thank you.
Anyways, I think with Barley though, things I truly like to look at him and see with myself is there's like a lack of direction with him, but there is not in the slightest. Like he oozes passion. Everything he does, he cares about when he does it. It doesn't look the greatest, but man, it's a dream car for him,
Yeah.
He's got all these unhoned skills. Like he knows so much, but he hasn't quite finished walking the line anywhere yet. But he's got all these different jack of all trades, if you will. His heart's in the right place, and life is murky for him. But for some reason, the kid's smiling. So I personally connect with him in the sense that I know, like, when I am dealt a bad hand, I start laughing. I start making fun of people. I smile. I do all the opposite of what I'm feeling, which I think until the very last scene of this movie is what you see out of Barley. My favorite part of the movie. Go ahead. You first.
Oh no, I was going to talk about Guinevere, the ultimate steed, the figurative vehicle steed. What was your first car, Sean?
What was my first car?
Yeah, I think I know the answer, but
my first car was a 1991 Mazda RX-7. It was bitchin'.
I just remember the Nissan. That car was chock full of memories.
But that car was Guinevere too. See, my Mazda was Guinevere because here's why: it had a radiator leak that was the smallest pinhole leak, but once it went down past a certain level, the sensor would go off and it would hit you with a really loud ring. I'm not going to do it for the listeners because it'll stay with you. And then you have to go out there and pour more fluid in it. And, poor old 16, 17-year-old Sean only had water, so he was just pouring water in that radiator sucker. And then
that poor radiator.
Yeah, and I didn't have a radio in that car, so I would just put my phone. And this is back in like 2007, 2008. So like it's not like phones today. We don't have like music on our phones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't just put your iPod on there and like it just plays
have
music
like one file or something.
I would play my ringtones. I would play my ringtones, man. So I had like Kanye ringtones from back in the day and stuff. Like, it was great. Common and stuff. I'm like playing like 40-second clips of songs. That was all I could do. It was a good time. But you're right.
Long
the
ringtones
Nissan,
were?
Dude, yeah, my ringtones were super long. I used to send people I've always been the guy that was on it with technical stuff when it comes to music. But anyways, Nissan, that Sentra, she was Guinevere too. She was beautiful. She treated me right. We went some places with that thing.
Yeah, I just remember
great times.
that road trip, I just remember too, just like driving around the neighborhood, and then I just remember like just different songs you would introduce. And you'd be like, "Wait for it," and I'd be like, and like me, I'm like initially unimpressed by things, which is a terrible habit to be in. I'm like, Sean, and then like, wait for it, and then just like something crazy going on. It was like I forgot what I think. I
Empire
can't remember
Ants.
which Tyler the Creator song. There was one. I think it was Sandwiches.
Oh,
And
Sandwiches.
Dun, dun, dun,
And it would blow out my speakers like every time. Well,
It's
that's
like,
we're coming to it, man. That's my favorite part of this movie. Straight up, the quests.
the
We've been
road
going on
trip,
quests
the little
forever, dude.
yeah,
Forever. The quest to find chicken nuggets. The quest to make a movie. The
everything,
quest
tacos,
to buy all the bananas at Vons. Every quest you can think of, we've done
to
it.
find the best place to watch a meteor shower in the middle of LA.
Let's talk about this real quick. You guys down here, what are some of the best road trip songs? I can already tell you what one of my favorites is off top, and I think we both agree. It's the Gorillaz' Empire Ants. If
Yes.
it's not on the mix, you're messing up.
Yeah. I tend on road trip playlists, I'm one of those like Roadhouse classic rock people. I miss Arrow. Great
Dude,
station.
we all do, man. We do.
But and there's this like whenever I do playlists, I'm like there's always has to be like a chugging to it, like a rhythm. Like you can throw in Daft Punk, but then if there's just enough fuzz tone in the song, let that kind of carry on into the next song. Speaking of which, I'm gonna plug something that we did. If you have Apple Music, I have a playlist that I'm constantly adding to, and it's called K-Rap FM, and it is just a bunch of just that kind of road trip music. I think it's about a 2-hour playlist, and then towards the end it gets a little funky because I throw in like a novelty song about pizza and anime music. But
I have
will
a song to
the
put on there already, dude.
I have.
I'm gonna tell you what song to put on. I'm just gonna say it to the people because they should
Go
hear it.
for it.
My little brother got me on it. It's from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie. It's called New York Pizza.
I'll check it out. I added a
welcome.
song from Bill and Ted, which is great. I think it's just called The Reaper, and it's just this like solo, just ripping solo and all this stuff. But yeah, I do. When you do road trip music, John, do you do playlists on Spotify? Are you a needle drop on an album and you just let it go? Do you have any go-to albums like that you would say?
So there's not a wrong answer here, I don't think.
No, certainly not.
Right?
No. Yeah.
And a lot of it is your audience. I thoroughly enjoy a good road trip, and part of that enjoyment of a road trip is playing the DJ just right, So like if I'm in a group of people who are going to Vegas, like I'm looking for the right kind of mix to where like it's gonna have like that uppity keep us going, you know what I mean? But also not like burn us out in the first 5 minutes because we got a 4-hour ride over there. You know what I'm saying? So like you gotta have, like you said, that kind of like that. The best
hit a groove.
The best tool I have for this, first of all, is going to be on Spotify, the crossfade. Okay, it turns whatever mix you make into a professional sounding mix. 4-second crossfade. That way, especially when you get the mixes just right and you keep that same energy going, it doesn't even feel like the song even ended. It's like it just keeps going into the next one. If you're gonna do like some Stereo Love or whatever by somebody, and you do that into some Evanescence or some crap, it's gonna sound beautiful. You're like, whoa, okay, cool. And I'll do that into like a Tribe Called Quest song that's got like some really kicking drums that kind of match whatever was happening in the Evanescence thing. And all of a sudden we're back on the hip hop. It doesn't, as long as you know your audience. So like when I go on road trips with my mom, 70s classic rock all day long. I'm looking for the Eagles. I'm looking for Steve Miller Band. I'm looking for Lead. I'm looking for some Boston. I'm looking for the Who. I'm looking for anybody who's gonna get me on all that. But then I also want, if I'm gonna do that, I got to put in the little sleepers, some Lou Reed. You know what I mean? Give me something that's gonna like just keep it mellow for a little bit, so we don't gotta shout and scream the whole time.
Yeah, I tend to do albums. I'll try to, and like I really need to like make a playlist or like make a list of this where it's like there's just albums I throw on where I'm like I have to listen to it if I start it. Where it's like Low End Theory, have to listen to it all. I'll put on Plastic Beach. I have to listen to that entire album in one sitting. And like there's a couple, like I have trouble with like some Beatles playlists, like the ones where they're like, I'm like, oh no,
because
this
you
is
don't
all
have
out
the
of order.
next song that you
Yeah, and like I know those albums well enough where like as a song fades, I'm like, this song's gonna play, and then it's something else. I'm like, no, get that out of here. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this though, dude. First of all, I'm with you, but it also only pertains to some albums, I feel like. I'm not that way with everybody's music.
Yeah.
I think some people curate albums to do that, and some artists don't. And also, I'll say that, like, literally, this is, like, from the same year, I want to say, that we went on our first road trip, is when I first got into Spotify. And so I've been making a mix from that same year up until now that's at, like, 10,000 songs. And it's straight up it's my driving mix. It's called Scene B-Man Radio, and I don't hear the same song very often. I'm always adding to it. If I ever hear a new song, it just goes in the box and it's in the stuff that I would play on my radio station.
I had a playlist that was similar to that on my old computer, where it was every song that I would download by less than legal means. And but it was funny though, when I downloaded it, I knew it was like core memories, and I could sit there and be like, these 4 songs were downloaded in a day. And that night I went to see Snakes on a Plane. And it was literally like it was like a high school soundtrack. It was just like my entire
dude.
And it was just like it was almost all of high school in audio form. And then when I brought it over to the computer, I still have those files. I don't have them in the order. And unfortunately, that is lost to time.
That and my entire MySpace profile.
Yeah.
You know how to hack MySpace. Get my MySpace.
I made sure that I scorched earth my MySpace. I have one screenshot.
I did too. And I'm such an idiot for doing it, dude. That was our whole high school experience.
It was. I pulled off all the photos.
You have all kinds of... See...
Yeah. I pulled off photos. I have video. I have a lot of private videos on YouTube that are... Like, I have a lot of that stuff. But yeah, no, that's one thing that's weird with digital stuff now, is I'm like, I remember like I had a Departed profile, and so switch it up, and it would be all these weird things.
Well, Miss Ball told us, my photo teacher in high school, she's like, watch out for the dangers of digital photography. This is going to be the end of recorded history as we know it because of the delete button. And it's so true.
Yeah. The amount
but
of...
At the same time, we're at the other side of that now. Other side of that coin, when people are just getting all the stuff they deleted brought back up on them.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There's a lot of things where I'm like, okay, is this deleted? Is this off the internet? There was stuff I uploaded to the Internet Archive like in 2015, 2005, and it was like the silly home movies we used to make, and I just remember I was like, I need to get this off the internet, and I couldn't figure out how to do it, so it sat there for nearly 12 years until I finally was like, I have to get this off the internet, because it had like people's names on it. I'm like, I don't want, like, you'd search my name and it would show up, and I'm like, I need to get this off the internet. And like, it's tough because there's some stuff where I'm like, I have no way of getting this off the internet. Oh well.
So don't search us. Do we have to take a break? Is it about that time?
We're at a 7-minute mark, so I think now we can do time for a sponsor drop with Sean and Marco. I am currently wearing a based on a true story shirt from the Chosen One Apparel, which is incredibly comfortable, well fitted, and what Sean is currently modeling a wonderful.
I got a wonderful crew shirt here from Roosevelt. It's pretty sweet. It's got the alien slime lords on it. Check it out. We're talking about slushies.
Front and back hit.
So yeah, check them out, man. They're actually, both companies are t-shirt quality next level. Like, the shirt's very soft. I've washed it probably about 6 times already. My Chosen One t-shirt looks brand new still. I've washed like 30 times. I'm not one of those guys that like super takes care of their clothes either. I dry everything. So like, they still look really good, that said. And then also on top of it, they just have cool logo, cool stuff. And the people are nice. Like, no one's douchey. It's pretty fun.
They're super chill.
Yeah.
If you want to shop any of that stuff, we're going to have that in our show notes. And then we're going to see you in a little bit.
Radical. Marco, your internet sounds way better, dude. So we're doing great. Cool.
Good. I'll beat up my modem. I'll give it a glare. Don't break down on me. See you in a second.
To the unicorns. All right, brother. See you in a second.
All right.
I think the problem has been fixed, but only time will tell.
There we go. I don't know what's going on with Instagram. I think it might be something on my end. I got a really weird warning when I saved the video. It says like, we restrict certain content, and I'm like, don't think we did anything.
Certain
But
what?
okay. It just said like it gave me a weird warning. I screenshotted it, but I think it was just a glitch or something.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So, yeah. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We are talking about 2020's Onward, and I think we're going to kind of rip right through this plot, because
We definitely are.
yeah, just like,
What's going on? I'm gonna take for a second, Marco. You're getting a little glitchy. I got you.
yeah.
So what's going down right now is that we started our quest. We've covered over, Marco's experiences with driving already, which translate into, in the movie, there's a whole scene of Ian driving, and he's not quite ready. There's 2 times, one in driving class, and the second time with his brother, where we get to about now. And his brother says something to him that I thought was really cool. And he says, "I'm not ready." And his brother goes, "You'll never be ready," which is a truth in life. There's so many times in your life where you're not ready, you don't feel ready, but there's no right time. You just do it. You just go out and you knock it down,
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of little nuggets like that in this movie. I think this is chock full of very, very good advice. That being one of them. You're never going to be ready. You just got to go.
Which makes sense for a movie like this, that it be a virtuous movie, it being such a fabled movie, if you will.
Yeah.
Because most fables all teach a lesson, Each quest is supposed to leave you with something. So the fact that all throughout this movie, we're getting little nuggets of virtues and whatnot, it's perfect. It, once again, adds real character to the universe that they've created. I want to kind of touch a little bit just on all the wonderful characters that we've been introduced to so far, because there's some real just heavy hitters. We already talked about Tom Holland and Chris Pratt and how much we enjoy them, and how much we, even with them possibly the fans wanting Jack Black, that Chris Pratt did a pretty great job in this whole movie. He did. And if you've watched Chris Pratt's television accolades in Parks and Rec, he really is a perfect candidate to play this role of big brother, big bumbling brother. I truly Officer Bronco. Man, now that's a great character.
Yes.
That is a great character.
Very fun. Very fun.
As somebody who also kind of looks like a horse, I've been told, I truly enjoy myself some Officer Bronco. He's cool. The dad jokes, man, don't stop. Never stop. I love it.
What's your go-to dad joke in the workplace? Working hard or hardly working? How you feeling?
What's my go-to? God, I don't like being put on the spot like this, because I want to give you a great one, and I'm upset that I don't have one on the tip of my tongue right now. Oh God,
how you doing surviving? Let's say.
Oh man, I have so many good ones right now, and I can't think of any, dude. I'm just gonna tell you one halfway through in a little bit here.
You're good.
I can't remember.
Yeah. I think what was really funny is just the different scenes and little areas where it's like you think that they're going to be incredibly magical, but they're like, the Manticore's Tavern, and they drive up and it's all dark, and then it's just basically a Shakey's. And nothing wrong with a Shakey. Shakey's Mojo potatoes are unmatched in the potato skins world. I mean, unless you're going Outback Steakhouse. What's your
ready,
Sean? Go-to potato skin. Go,
Marco.
Yeah. What? What do we got?
You ready? No. Dad joke. You ready?
Okay.
What are the drummer name is twin daughters?
High and Hat? I don't know.
Anna 1, Anna 2.
That's pretty good.
All right. I love me a good dad joke, man.
I think the closest dad joke I always liked was it's like a priest, a witch doctor, and a rabbi walk into a bar, and the bartender says, "What is this, a joke?" That's it. I just think it's really funny.
My girlfriend, Marco, my girlfriend's always telling me I have 2 major faults. One, I don't listen, and something else. No respect, I tell you. No respect.
No respect.
Yeah, so I'm
Bought
sorry.
a funeral
man.
plot. There goes the neighborhood. Man,
Oh,
that's a movie.
so-
That's a movie we need to watch. We need to watch Rover Dangerfield, the animated Rodney Dangerfield film.
That's got to be incredibly dirty.
It actually is.
Not dirty. I shouldn't say that. Incredibly, the word risque. He always found himself in risque situations.
There is a song. It's a
Yeah.
Christmas film. It's a Christmas song, and he plays a dog, and there's an entire song called "I'll Never Do It on a Christmas Tree." A Christmas tree is safe for me. It's about a dog peeing on trees. And he's, oh, no. What do you think I am, honey? I ain't gonna pee on a Christmas tree. I'm gonna go sing a song over here. It's like,
man, that was spot on.
sorry, I'll tell you one more Rodney Dangerfield related anecdote. One time in community college, I was in a film class, and we had to do live reads of different people's scripts. And this one script was very bad. And it wasn't mine. But this one script was really bad. And it was a horror film. And everyone kind of in the room was chuckling about it when we read through it. And I was given the role of the main character named Rodney. And let me tell you that the entire time that we read this script, I was doing a Rodney Dangerfield impression. And so it's like, and it's like the one creepy guy in their friend group, they think it's him. And he's like, I don't know, I don't think that it's him. he doesn't think he could handle a knife. And it's all this goofy.
That's so good.
Run to the garage. We got.
Oh, man.
Right over there. Oh, no, the car won't start.
Well, dude, not only is your impersonation of Rodney Dangerfield great, Pixar's just reality they created in this movie also great. You see it there? You see it? I wrote this back.
Yeah, I like that segue. That was good.
Yeah.
There's that.
It took a long time in my brain coming up with that.
Yeah, there's that montage later in the film where they're going through. This movie does such a good job of world building that you just want to sit in that environment. Like when they're in the Manticore's tavern, I'm like, I'd eat there. I like the guy that's sipping the soup while the drama's going.
It reminds me of the 90s. It reminds me of the 90s and the way Fridays used to be. You know, when you went to Fridays or Fuddruckers or any of those kind of places where they got flair and everyone, hey, how you doing? That kind of it was like that. It used to be that way, and I mean, everywhere you go, everyone's got flannels and denim shirts on and stuff. It's different. But I'm not hate on that at all. I'm more comfortable in that kind of uniform anyways. But it definitely was a whole thing where you had to live whatever theme of your restaurant was. And that's not really all that true as much today. And it did seem like a place I would eat.
I miss Farrell's. I don't I feel like we make a restaurant where it's just as loud as possible. It's like, hello, we're the house band walking around. But then there's that line later in the movie where they're driving through a bunch of beanstalks. And I'm like, that's cool. And they're driving by, they show the city that looks like little castle towers. I'm like, what's the dynamic of a medieval corporate ladder and that kind of stuff? And so I think that's a hallmark of that kind of world building where you're like, wait, what's that? I mean, it's not that it's more interesting than what's going on in the movie, but it's more just, okay, that's cool.
It's great because you have a billion questions in your head as you watch movies like this. A few of them get answered along the way, just enough.
Yeah, to keep you wanting more and that kind of stuff. And you put in the notes that it's this is the natural next step from The Good Dinosaur, photorealism to a T. And cut your eyeballs.
You've got the photorealism in all these settings, whether it's the road less traveled or you got the photorealism of cars. We've gotten to the point now where we can't distinguish what a road looks like in CG and what a road looks like in real life, and they utilize that. Dude, the hair, Ian's hair, it moves. I didn't research it at all, but I would imagine it moves like Meredith's hair. It's everything about this entire movie, and it utilizes. has all the tools in their tool belt once again. And this time, what's great is they're utilizing the tools story-wise as well. I felt like while watching movies like The Good Dinosaur, as good as those movies are, it's good. And the plot is good, but it's not great. Not in comparison to what Pixar does. And this one, I was like, I can't say enough. I connected on with this movie in such a way. I was so pleased with it, and I was so pleased with the way that things moved along. There isn't a point in this movie where you feel like it's unnecessary.
I think we got to talk about the dad being brought back as his bottom half, and his shoes, and his khakis, and his purple socks. Just the way that was handled, and how it never got old that he was just a half. And just how they piled stuff on him, and he's kind of flopping around. I'm like, that would be a great. Sean, I feel like we need to take you to like a cosplay thing where you're just running around like that, like crashing into things, walking along. I mean, because the gag that I was texting some friends yesterday, our Pixar crew, and we were texting about. I love the gag during the chase scene with the pixies when they like, what's he doing? And they turn, and the dad's arm is just like flailing out the window because like he's shaking his fist at them. And it's just like a comedy.
That seems wonderful. And the way they animate it too, where it's just enough of a like a windy. It was believable.
You can tell it's wiggling. It's like
And I don't know. I felt that way in cars when someone's giving me the thumbs up. I'm like, did they just give me the finger? Oh no, they're still holding it. It's a thumbs up. We're good. How you doing?
You're like, wait.
Oh man. The facial and emotional expertise that has now figured out. And they utilize it not just on their main characters anymore. It's not just something that's just for Woody. It's not something that's just for Dory and her parents. Like, every character in the world that they build now carries such emotion and has access to the entire spectrum of emotion. You know what I mean? Like, those pixies, they're pissed. And we see what anger looks like. And they're just side characters. They have nothing to do with anything. But, like, they do such a good job of showing, like, all of them, like what frustration looks like, what anger looks like all these just wonderful little peons I'm looking at. And you can only imagine how many different models they have to come up with just to be able to do such things, And it was just it was rad.
The just that whole chase sequence is so good. Like, I don't know if it's because I haven't seen this movie enough, or it's of recent history where it's just like there's just things there's scenes and sequences I completely forgot, and I'm like, this movie's hilarious, and it's just zany in fun ways. Even like you mentioned the Manticore scene you wrote, like, this is all of us in the food and hospitality industry where it's just like, hold on, I have to do something. Do I have to do?
You paint this face on you. And no matter what is behind it's a smile right there, but behind this is just fucking. It's just here. I just want to rip things off this wall. Okay.
The things I would do with a mace in here.
For real. For real. The thing, it's common in the workplace, in that workspace. It does enough to hook people in and pay the bills and get you part of what regular society is expecting of you, but it's not enough to get ahead. It's not enough to make you feel like you've done everything that you can do to be successful, if you will. And that's what she realizes. How she's like, wait, what am I? This isn't why I did it. My reasons for being here and where I'm at don't match. And that's when she makes the big change. And a lot of us took those big changes.
Yeah, I think I'm in the middle of that right now, where you realize you've been sitting in one spot, or like, I think I'm gonna now for an interlude of existential dread with Marco. Now, I think what's tough is you sit there and you go like, well, your initial goal is so far from where you are now, and you're just like, all right, well, maybe I need to adjust the goal. Maybe I need to, or reevaluate it would probably be the best word. But that's an episode. That's a discussion for another day and a long drive. We should do that. We'll do a long drive podcast episode. But
I'll take a long drive. You know, I'm a good therapist, man. I bartended for years. I got it
now
in
a
my blood at
long
this point.
drive off of a short pier. Here we go.
Well, talking about existential dread, let's talk about the most magical part of the movie. Gas is $2.28 a gallon in this magical universe. Obviously, it's not real because that's not a real thing, as we all know. It would take some real magical powers to bring gas into $3 today here in California. I can only imagine.
Yeah, that'll be. I
got a question for you, Marco.
Yes, sir. What do you got?
I didn't write in the notes. You might not like it. If you had an enlargement spell, what would you enlarge?
I think it'd probably be like storage or something. Probably, I wouldn't say like
Storage.
Property. I think it would be like the front of the house gets really, really hot because they took down a tree. I think I'd plant a tree and just boom, just take care of that.
That'd be pretty good.
Yeah,
that'd be solid.
How about you, Sean? What would you enlarge?
If I had to enlarge something, it would be my heart, so I could have even more of a capacity to love my girlfriend.
Sean,
Hope you heard that. I'm done. I can retire. We're good.
As desirable as a large heart is, and how the Grinch Stole Christmas created an unsafe, what I would describe as an unsafe expectation for heart enlargement. That's a known medical issue.
You have all kinds of new problems now, man.
You see, that's a medical issue.
Heart. You're pumping too much blood.
I think the only thing that
your arteries can't handle it.
Seabiscuit, Sean. You would just be running, and you'd be like, "Why can that guy run so fast?" It's because of my enlarged heart. You see, I'm so full of love.
I like how I'm old in this too. Well, back in 2021, 32 years ago, I enlarged my heart up with magic.
Well, I'm talking about a podcast and the lives that I've lived because the pressure. Well, actually, no. I
got someone in the comments here that says they would enlarge their bank account, and I just got to say that's really cool. But what about the money in your bank account? What would you need? Although no, they're right. By logic of the movie, there'd be bigger money inside.
Yeah. Wonder how big you'd have to make your bank account.
Bigger money?
Yeah. Big money.
Just have a really big bills.
You're just walking in with sweepstakes checks everywhere.
How much is this $1 bill worth, sir?
$1. Sorry.
It's the size of 100, though, so it should be worth more, right?
I mean,
so you just how does Colt drive? How's Colt sitting when he's driving?
Very carefully.
I don't know.
He's probably like when a horse sits. When horses sit, they don't sit like. Yeah, when horses sit, they don't sit like frogs. They sit like. But okay, so is he steering with his? Is he?
Oh man, yeah, you're seeing what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Wear pants. We all want to know, man. We all want to know. Is it all four legs? Is he sitting with all of his legs back, and then he's driving like a handicap person with his fingers as the gas and brake? Does he have those such?
I think he would be like laying
ones to be like,
Yeah, I think he's driving with his front hooves.
Yeah.
But he's like probably like he's probably sitting all like Lambo style or something. He's probably doing a lean so he can stay in the car. Do you have to
next trip up to Pixar? We're gonna ask. We got to get the answer to that one.
I really just want to put like one of those GIF chains on Officer Bronco. Are you going to? I think, Sean, I sent you a screenshot yesterday. I think you need to send the photo to your girlfriend and have your contact image be main man. Just put your face on it. Just like.
Oh crap, dude! I really am. Officer Bronco and I have a lot in common. I told someone yesterday. I told my mom. I was like, "Well, yeah, that's why you got that hitch in your giddy up." And she stopped and looked at me and goes, "How old are you?" I was like, "I don't know."
I think you gotta do the laugh, Sean. Do the laugh.
Which laugh?
The laugh that Bronco does. Like,
I can't do the laugh, dude. I don't got it.
you don't have the bottle brush mustache to add that kind of resonance that's required to do that.
I can't do it. I wish. Oh man. Well, I wanted to talk also about like the sibling fight that we get in this. I've got a lot of siblings, and I fought with them. I've fist fought with some of my siblings. I've argued with them. I've shouted at them. We've brought each other to tears. And what's really wonderful about that, and is a lesson I've learned from my family, but it's unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
It's that no matter how upset, angry, distraught, pissed, sad, mad, happy, whatever we are with each other, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
We always end up back at love because we love each other. And that's the constant, and after a while, whatever they're saying, they're trying to beat into your skull, it starts to make a dimple, and all of a sudden you start to see things a little bit more from their perspective. And it's not always easy to get to that point, but it's always worth it, especially with those people that you deem worthy, and it's just a trip how, this movie does that. A lot of movies show us that, I bought in at this point, though, with this one. Christopher Pratt is selling me very well. I told you how I connect with him. I felt what he was feeling when he was like, I feel useless with my family, even though I'm doing all that I can.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until later in the movie when he sees when Ian sees this kid's been there the whole time. He's done so much more than I've ever given him credit for.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see in that perspective.
That really snuck up on me. I don't try to watch movies from this active perspective of being I'm gonna guess what the ending's gonna be. I'm just kind of along for the ride, which I sometimes makes it so that I don't judge bad films as harshly as I should. But while watching this movie, I don't know why I wasn't. I think that's a testament to the writing and everything else about it, where it was just oh, okay, that whole montage at the end, I was like, oh, shoot, holy moly,
a lot of us have that, a lot of us have two parents still and still have that, there's this term it takes, and there's a lot of people in a lot of our lives that are listening where we're in shortcomings, whether it's because they couldn't be there because they didn't want to be there. If you're lucky, there's always someone there. There's someone there. And sometimes it's your best friend, sometimes it's the neighbor, sometimes it's your uncle, sometimes it's your grandpa, sometimes it's you don't know who. It could be a teacher. But there's just people who fill in that space in your heart. And I'm just so pleased to be part of the world sometimes when I'm able to recognize that. Because it just makes me feel like I gotta do it. I can't wait to be that to somebody. I can't. It's to have that. It's when your first Christmas, when you went from receiving gifts to giving gifts.
Yeah.
And that badge of pride that you received just from no one gave it to you. You just all of a sudden were wearing. I got my mom a gift. I got my daddy. I got my sister. And they all got gifts from me with my money. And you're feeling it. You feel great. It's the same thing, and yeah. It's beautiful if this movie illustrates that so well.
Yeah. Trying to think of other things that happen. There's just a lot. There's just the quest, the confidence in yourself to walk over a deep chasm. The Cheeto puff, the cheese puff. Very good. If there was a snack food, I think they went with the right choice, Sean. I think if we were to do,
I do too.
Yeah.
What other snack foods would you have wanted to see them float on? If you could say another snack food that they were going to be floating on, what would you want to see? I think a pizza slice is my number one, or maybe the crust.
Pizza slice would be pretty fun. I don't know.
Pepperoni.
I'm not sure about the buoyancy. I'm trying to think of
I
a
thought
cheese puff.
crust. I feel like a crust might go.
Ooh, yeah, maybe a calzone.
That would
Or calzone.
solid.
Or what else too? Where it's trying to think of a puff. Oh, actually, no, that wouldn't work. Sorry, I was thinking
pretzel.
A pretzel. A cinnamon.
A soft pretzel too.
Yeah.
Ooh, or a cinnamon bun.
Oh yes. You know, I realized that my low energy at the beginning of the last half was probably because I'm dehydrated because I have drank nearly 64 ounces of water while doing this. And now I'm like,
Oh, that's
I'm
good.
all awake. But
Your skin's gonna look great. Just ask the girls in the feed. Let's see. We got next up. If we move into, I know I'm flying this through.
no, we're
Honestly,
good.
like watch the movie, guys. I don't want to give up what happens on the quest. I'm trying to move away from just telling you everything that happens in movies at this point because you got to go watch these suckers. I just want to tell you how we feel.
Yeah, I think
Barley's too scared to talk to his dad. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to support you and just saying, like, yeah, we're trying to move away from. Sean put it best when he sent a text earlier and said we're trying to move away from the book report podcast, and we're kind of, as you can probably tell, we're doing more tangents. So let us know what you think. Thank you.
Or don't, whatever you feel like.
Yeah.
Barley's too scared to say goodbye. I felt
Yeah.
that. I've been in the hospital room with family. And I've chosen not to. I didn't say goodbye to I mean, I'm sure I did, but my grandma, I was scared to see when she was on her last few weeks of living, my grandma Margie. And that definitely stayed with me. And it traumatizes you. I'm scared of hospitals to the day because, I mean, when you go to the hospital, that's where you go to die. It's not a place to get better, you know? And it's scary. That said, I've lost other family now.
In right now, you're tuning into our first 3-parter because for some reason Instagram ended. I don't know if it's the internet connection. Something's going on. I don't know if the down detector is going on, but we're gonna kind of wrap this up a little bit.
But stand by. Kind of wacky what's going on.
Insta freaking regret, dude. Instagram's
Yeah.
stupid.
Oh no, that's what they're
Sponsor us, or I'm gonna call you stupid every podcast from here on out. Instagram. You heard it here first. We're doing it. No. Pizza Planet Truck versus Instagram. We're going, guys. Who's with me? Just kidding, dude. This is scum, though.
Let's wrap this up with a nice little bow. We'll finish this in probably the next.
That story real quick, man.
Yeah.
So I was scared to see people in the hospital for however long. Lost another grandmother, and I had the strength to be able to hold her hand in her, last few. I was there, put it that way, and so that strength comes from my other grandmother, from the things I went through, from the trauma, and I connected to the movie again. And then once again, the whole thing with their father and Barley, talking back to my grandfather and my father. I mean, the Barley and my father, they're both jokesters. He's my uncle's father figure. He's not perfect, but he's great. He's not, because Barley isn't perfect. Throughout the whole movie, at no point does he present himself as perfect, but he is great. And there's not a point where he's underwhelming in that regard. He's fighting off a horde of pixies, whether he's explaining that we don't the easy road, whether he's showing his brother how to ride a bike or pushing him into a pool so he learns how to swim, giving him the confidence to walk a imaginary bridge, a magical bridge, if you will. All these things are great, and they're qualities that are unique to him in this movie, and it's wonderful to see. And I felt wonderful watching. I was blown away emotionally, and I didn't see it coming the second time at all.
Yeah, on the second viewing, like I was just, it's a lot of fun. It's really, and I think it's higher up on the ranking than I thought it would be. But at the same time too, we're getting to so many movies that it's tough to rank these. But you know what isn't tough to rank?
The power scale. So what's great about this movie is that to this point, we've got the woodcarver in number 1 and Mater in number 2. And a lot of that is due to magical ability. Now, part of that, I say that because we think that the cars were created by the woodcarver, meaning that they're all magical in their origin. So that said, we're now in a place where fantasy becomes reality. So there should be some real space here to possibly muck up our power scale. The people I wanted to bring to the table this time are going to be Ian and the Manticore. Our power scaling recap is as follows. In number 1, we have the Woodcarver. Number 2 is Mater. Number 3, Mr. Incredible, who is 4 is Jack Jack. He did jump over Wally a few weeks back. We have Wally number 5. 6 is Remy. 7 is Syndrome, the first enemy of the Incredibles. Eva is number 8. Elastigirl 9. Buzz is 10. Pepita is 11. And Butch is 12. Oh, I'm in 11, 12. Yeah, somewhere. So you guys get it. That's the lineup. Yeah. I still have a hard time every time I look at this. Pepita is so low, but also it's a really strong crew.
Yeah.
I look at the Remy situation, and we've given him a lot of power. And I kind of feel like as the more I look at him, we got to start knocking him down a few. And I know he hasn't done anything to be knocked down, but he's not shown us, compared to what we've seen from other characters in this, I haven't seen Remy show us any ability to really take anything on outside of cooking. He does have incredible knife skills, which puts him high. But do I think that Remy would be able to take out Buzz even? Buzz has a buzz cut.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That'd be tough.
Yeah. So
I just like the thought that you're.
Yeah,
Sean woke up today and said, that rat's gotta go.
The rat's gotta go, dude.
The rat's gotta go. We gotta get it.
So I just want to start off and say that in my head, I'm putting Remy down, all the way down to in between Pepita and Butch. And I know that's a lot, but I feel as though Elastigirl has shown us that she can get over mind control quality. She's done it before already.
Yeah.
I think that Eva Remy wouldn't be able to do anything to Eva at all. Syndrome can't do, he's got the hair. That's the only thing, is I think that's where we have this issue, right? Is because Remy might beat Syndrome, but Remy doesn't beat anybody else on that. Whereas Syndrome beats everybody below him still, which makes me say I'm doing it right now. I'm pulling Remy. I'm going to put him down. Oops. I'm going to put him down after Pepita.
We're watching it live on the list as the rat falls from grace. The full victory.
That puts us in a good spot as well, because actually, can I do this real quick? Let's see. Boom. Wow, there we go. Cool. Turned it to an actual number system. So up next, we also have our contenders. I said Ian and the Manticore. I think the Manticore definitely needs to be there as a knowledgeable creature that has strength, can breathe fire, can paralyze its subjects, and fly. Those are all incredible, which puts her very near to like Pepita range of power and capabilities, I would say. You know what I'm saying?
She's got opposable thumbs. She's got opposable thumbs. It might give her an edge on Pepita. Although Pepita probably
my hope is where Pepita comes in better, right? I give her the edge in it. Is that Pepita is still in her prime. Pepita, there's nothing. Pepita's not struggling to carry people. Pepita's not struggling to utilize her powers. Whereas the Manticore is 10, 15, 20 years outside of her prime. She's reawakening things. You know what I'm saying? So even though she could breathe fire, in my opinion, I would say she probably only breathes about the fire that she breathed in the movie, because she hasn't been exercising that muscle very much. She does have the sword. She gains the sword, but anybody can get the sword, and it doesn't seem like she's got a great wielding of the sword.
I think if Remy was given a sword, he would go up much higher in this range.
Here we go. If Remy was to get his hands on the Manticore, though, that's where Remy could start making his push. You know what I'm saying? But then again, if the Pet Collector can get the Manticore under his spell, then the Pet Collector jumps up. I still put Remy down. Manticore, I'm going to put above Butch. I'm going to put above Butch. So. Do I think that it beats Remy? Now, I think that Remy can beat the Manticore, to be honest. I think that the Manticore, especially with its lack of agility and its older age, isn't going to be able to stand up to how quickly the rat can get on its back. So I put Manticore after Remy.
Got it.
Boom. Then, last up, Mr. Ian, our wizard. Now, Ian is a wizard. He is learning very quickly. I gotta say, that's something that should be taken into account. He's gone from not being able to do very much to being able to cast the hardest type of spell ever, which is a lightning arcane spell, as they call it. Not that I'm a nerd. Anyways, and he's able to grasp like all the different qualities it takes to become a wizard incredibly quickly. That said, he's not strong at all. He's not. He had his one good hit in the entire movie is going to be his one good lightning spell. Outside of that, he can make things fly, and he can send projectiles at you. If
he can fly a car,
he can find you a projectile that's good enough to send, I guess. I guess he could probably send rubble and stuff at you. But even such, I don't see. He's got syndrome capabilities, basically, at a lower tier.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if there was a second Onward, I would feel much more confident in putting him higher on the list, because then we can get an idea of how strong he is, how strong he's going to be. But we're not talking how strong he's going to be. We're talking about now. So that said, I'd put him above the Manticore. I don't think I put him. Would you put him above Buzz or Pepita? I don't see it.
No, I don't think so. I think he even though he was able to master what Barley stated was the most complicated spell, I think he's using them for good. He's but also
well, with that said,
he's still learning.
Huh.
He's still learning.
He is.
I'd say too. But
he also, ready for this, has a full head of hair, which makes him very vulnerable to our buddy Remy.
I think the hair
that's
the hair handicap is really throwing this off.
It's the Samson, man. It's the opposite of a Samson. You know what I mean? If you have long hair like me, I couldn't fight Remy. Remy takes me out quick, dude.
Yeah.
Probably has me to take myself out real fast. Bye.
I know. One punch to the face and you're knocked out.
Yeah.
Listen here, Remy, you're gonna eat lightning.
So with that, I think that kind of concludes what we should be able to cover today. It's been a tumultuous podcast, but the power scaling recap is as follows. Number 1, the Woodcarver, as always at this point, man. She's mad OP. She's created magic in the first place at this point. She's the mother of all things mystical in this universe. Mater, number 2, you might be wondering why if you're just tuning in. The reason being, the dude can do just about anything. He's got a grappling hook that functions just as well as Spider-Man's web-slinging abilities. He's got super secret agent abilities he got in the second movie where he can now fly, create disguises, turn into anybody he wants, go to space. Like, he's got shoot lasers, shoot rockets. He's all kinds of stuff. Mr. Incredible, you know what his deal is. He's mad strong, mad brawn. Jack, unlimited possibilities. But just speaking back to the Remy or to the Ian thing, has not realized his own potential yet. Has incredible potential, but it's not realized yet. Wally, incredibly indestructible at this point, has his laser beam coming out of his eye. Syndrome, he's got technology. 7, Eva. 8, Elastigirl. 9 is Buzz. 10, Pepita. And our honorable mentions, Ian, Manticore, and Butch. I like to make sure I always talk about the group of Hank and Bailey, and I think they could really pull some things together if they were together in this whole thing as well. That's all I got for you, Marco.
Yeah, I think this is a good spot to stop in. Next week, next episode, when you tune in, we are going to be listening and talking about Soul, which will be interesting. The second pandemic film, and the first one straight to the stream.
And a lot of people have brought up how this movie might really turn the power scale on its head. So get ready, guys.
Yeah. Also, Turning Red is coming out in about a little over a week, 1 week and a day. Still waiting to hear about tickets. I know that El Capitan is doing a limited release of that, but tune in. We'll let you know when we're back, and be sure to rate, subscribe, and tell us how we're doing. Have a good night.
Mad love, everybody. Peace, love, and pizza.